Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We are gonna work on our economy only. There's a little Great Britain situation going on down here. This Great Britain situation, and I'm gonna see what I can get out of the Vietnamese fundamentalist revolt. It might be nothing. It might be absolutely nothing. But we're gonna find out. So first of all, who could step in? Portugal, don't care. Cambodia, couldn't care less. Kuch Bihar, whatever. Manipur, whatever. Russia? No, that's Perak. What's Russia? Russia's a similar tricolor, but with black on top, black, gold, middle, whereas Perak is... black, gold, white, which is Perak is white, gold, black. Alright, gotta not mix that one up. Could end up doing something very silly if I do that. Netherlands might get involved. Don't really care for it. Ottoman Empire might get involved. France not going to get involved. America not going to get involved. So can't get a subject. Can't get a diplomatic pact that I want. Could get an obligation. Don't see any use for that right now. So we'll let it be. Although it would be fun to do this just to get Dynam free so that I could then take them over myself. That would be fun. That would be delightful, because I think they will become independent if I support the fundamentalist revolt. Yes. Also put me into a truce with Great Britain. Expose me to other problems. Other truces, really, is what I think. I think I'm going to let it go. For now. We'll see. Although, it's an opportunity to do this with only Great Britain involved, right? Australia is not involved. Australia doesn't have it on their wars and diplomatic plays. Canada's not involved, so But the only thing I'll be able to get is Dynam. So it's a good opportunity to free Dynam, but not to achieve anything other than a free Dynam. I don't want to. I'm working on my economy. Hey, hand crank machine gun. Very nice. Armies have never been stronger. Let's go ahead and get some of these rice farms started. And we'll just move a few of these fertilizer plants just a little bit further down the list. Just to get a little bit of the farming that I queued in going, because I'm not going to need these fertilizer plants going off all at once at the beginning of this. I'm going to need them eventually as we work through the entire process of building up these farms. But they're not the most important thing right now. Alright, perfect. Perfect. Alright, we're where we want to be. A lot of things going on over here, but Orcha can't be bothered. Neutral. Not my business. Everyone's getting involved. I'm not getting involved. Sad that my war against Bengal didn't grant me the recognition progress that I so justly deserve. I'm going to need to make war on a major in order to make this happen. Let's take a quick look at Russia and see where they are. Russia does have a substantial land force. They're still a landed voting monarchy. With peasant levies, they're trying to make professional army happen, and it seems like they're going to make professional army happen. Which is actually a shame for me, because that's going to make my life harder. If I wanted to enforce demands on them. Oh, well. What could be going on here? There's a proletarian revolt in Lan Fan. Interesting. I'm just going to mobilize a couple of small armies to to deal with this. We'll grab this 3rd coastal force and the 4th coastal force to guard both of these fronts. And then if anyone else gets involved, we'll do what we've got to do. So once these fertilizer plants get finished, I'll kind of check how the fertilizer industry is doing. The market, really. I'll check how the fertilizer market is doing, is the way I should have pronounced that. And then we'll see where these fertilizer plants need to go. I think for the moment, I think I'll throw them all to the bottom of the queue. And we'll bring them back up when we need them. So Nejid wants us to support their independence. I'm not going to do that. My influence is precious, and I'm going to keep it. What am I spending influence on right now? I got a lot of trade agreements. I'm improving relations with a lot of people, including Bengal. Bengal is not damaging relations back, but they could be. I don't really think I need to be damaging relations with Persia at this time. So I'm going to stop damaging relations with them. And that'll give me a little bit of influence to play with. So trying to get Kolhapur up. Now, Khalsa Raj and Hindustan. Oh, Hindustan's actually down in independence desire. Kolhapur is up. And, of course, Afghanistan is way up. Goldfield's depleted in North Heilongjiang. So I could, right now, reduce Hindustan's liberty desire, but that would bring Afghanistan up above, significantly above 75, and I don't want to do that. So, the rich mineral deposits in North Heilongjiang have been drained. Mines are being shuttered, and all the prospectors who moved in are beginning to drift away in search of the next big strike. Alluvial gold dried up, miners go home. River dried up due to miner activity. Shafts condemned as threat to life. Enter a known peril. Trespassers will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Unfortunate. Or we minus 50% migration attraction, or we can't just let them leave. Minus 20% migration attraction, bunch of radicals. I'm going to do the first one once again. And now Austria wants a trade agreement. I'm going to decline for now. I want to keep some influence around. North Heilongjiang needs more gold mines, and I've just got to build them right now. It's just sensible. So, having a little bit of extra influence will also get me a little bit of extra infamy decay, which is what I want to have. Now, I'm a little short on influence as well, and part of that is because my emperor is a little bit rough. But the other side... Well, what is this? Great Britain is going for protectorate over Bali. Great Britain, why so infamous? And to steal Guyana and Gabon, which I think is somewhere over here. That's Danish Togo, that's Dutch Ghana. Is Dutch Gabon over here? You know what? Instead of doing this, I'm just going to use the interface. This one. So Great Britain's trying to steal some territory from the Dutch. Well, from Bali. But they're also going after the Dutch. Who's likely to step in? United States is likely to step in. Can't get anything I super want. I'm going to hang tight on that. The temptation to go after Britain. The United States sides with Bali. Very good. They would give me war goals. What if I liberated Canada? What if I just kept breaking off pieces of the British Empire? What if I just went ahead and sent a whole army to the United States with the intent of liberating Canada? Let's do it. We're heroes. Let's do it. Excellent. Oh my goodness. Now this war is about to pop off, but that's just a small thing. So, we'll get all the lads together. We'll pause government construction. Sorry, starving people in China. The army needs what it needs. So, let's put our main force here in the United States with the goal of taking on Canada. We'll put a secondary force here in Dainam, and we'll put the 1st Field Army here in Bali to protect from attacks. And let me see. I think we'll grab another field force and put them in on the Canadian front just to make sure things are good to go there. And after a minute, we'll sort of see how things are looking. Maybe we'll grab one of our coastal forces, and we'll send them to Guyana to make sure the Brits don't take that. And then we'll sort of see how things go. There's the Lanfang situation popping off. So this should sort itself pretty quickly. Alright, that's beautiful. So these two armies are both going to go back to China. Or no, they're going to go to this front, which makes sense. What's the force comparison here look like? It looks very good. Britain's going to need to go to a lot of places in order to make this work. Let me see. Who else is on the British side? Haha, they're fearful. Nerds! They do have their whole network, which does include Australia and the Cape Colony. How strong is Australia right now? Not that strong. And how about... Where are you going? Where are you going, son? Where you go? Yeah, you better run. You better run. 14th British Fleet. You better run, Admiral Edward Seymour. Trying to get away from me. Trying to get away from me while the game's... Where'd he go? Oh, no, but he's still going. He's still going. Trying to get away from me while the game is paused. Nerd. You better run. I'm China. Oh, I'm having a good time. Alright. Anyone else likely to step in on this? Doesn't seem like... I mean, Portugal could. But... it is what it is. So, I'm going to get my 2nd Field Army actually down here to Dainam. And that's just going to be to make sure that that situation sorts itself out in good order. And we'll sort of keep an eye on where things are as they are. I'm going to grab the 3rd Coastal Force and actually put them in Africa on the Gabon front just to make sure that that front is held. And again, the goal here is Canada's damaging relations. I'm going to free you, Canada. You don't want to be Britain, but I will make you not Britain. There's a wee front over here as well, which I could put an army on if I wished. I'm going to leave some forces to defend China. It looks like Dainam does not have anything going on. So have they thrown in any more war goals? It doesn't appear that they have. I'm just going to keep watching this to make sure that I am defending everything that needs to be defended. Because I need to defend Bali. That's the main thing. Alright. And now we are in the countdown to war. So, I'm spending a lot of money on this war. Where do I want to attack? I want to send someone to raid convoys. Are you a convoy raider? Neither you are. This fleet will send here, to the Cape of Good Hope. And this fleet will send here to the Dainam front. And that'll just allow us to lock down what we need to lock down. Now there are armies coming up here, but this force comparison is looking very good to me. Well, this army's about to be here though. So we're going to see what it looks like with that army there. Okay, no, we still have the superiority of force. And there's the war. I'll just bring in one more army. I'm not going to go crazy on this. But I'm actually going to bring in a 2nd more army. And now, are my armies in Canada yet? Not yet. Let's quickly set some objectives. Before I do this, let me figure out what Canada's capital is. It's Ontario. Alright. So, we'll designate Ontario as the strategic objective over there. An undefended front is the Sierra Leone-Liberia front. Okay. I'm gonna leave that one to someone else for now. I know the game's skipping all funny-like, but that's just my computer. That's my computer, not yours. I'll send a small army to that corner of the map. Nice. We are winning over here. The Volta Togo front. I don't think that's a front that I need to care about too much. Now, I am going to drain my gold reserves in 10 weeks. So I will be in debt, but it shouldn't be that big of an issue. I'm actually losing a defensive battle over here. But this force comparison is rock solid. I've got 26% occupation of Tonkin. Ivory Coast front, Volta-Ghana front, not my problem. Afghanistan could become more autonomous. That's okay. I'm going to have to deal with that regardless. Harvest condition, yeah, we got wildfires again. It is always wildfires. Alright, so they got some occupation of Western Guangdong. 25%, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Force comparison here is looking rock solid. Small battle fought. Much larger battle being fought with the aid of my, looks like an American general. Yeah. Cool. Now, how are things going over here? Things are going really well over here in Canada. Excellent. So I will be liberating Canada and breaking another chunk off of the British Empire soon. Alright, Afghanistan wants greater autonomy. I'm going to have to decline. This is going to increase their liberty desire. I will improve relations. There's not much more that I have a desire to do. So their liberty desire is high, but I'm going to keep getting relations up in order to ensure that things stay good there. We got another battle which we are winning very well. Hey, steel railway cars. Excellent. So we are going to grab our trains and go to steel and go to steam trains. Yep. And then go to steel passenger carriages. And that is going to produce a lot more infrastructure, which is going to be very good for the country. Now, what does that do to the steel market? Steel market's all right. All right, excellent. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Investment pool is not using as much of the enlistment offices, as much of our finances as it could be using, but that's okay. How are things in Canada? We very nearly occupied Ontario, the capital of Canada in Victoria 3. Canada is having a little bit of a situation in Quebec. They've got 78% occupation by the United States, 75% occupation by Canada, and negative 54% occupation by Canada. So, you know, things are pretty normal over in Ontario. In Quebec, I'm sorry. Ontario is this region over here. This is Quebec. I wonder if someone who's French-Canadian would understand that. Like, yes, there's negative occupation there. That makes perfect sense. But I don't know, because I'm not that familiar. Walls and wheat paste. Hu Ting has organized a nationwide postering campaign on behalf of the modernization movement. In some cities, there is scarcely a wall left unmarked by pro-protectionism displays. Sunday, Gathering for Protectionism, meetings at all community houses, 7 to 8 p.m. Show your support for the just cause of protectionism. Refreshments available at 7:30 for all attendees. Subscribe to the local advocate for further information. They'll wash away with the rain, 10% stronger movement. Or order these walls cleaned at once. Hu Ting gets -10 popularity. Scholar officials go down in political strength. Ooh, that second one is tempting. I'm going to order these walls cleaned. Get out of here, protectionists. Now, I think I am taking on credit right now. I think I'm going to increase taxes. Just for the duration of the war. I've moved forward, so I'm now pressing forward towards Annam. Got that front cleared up, got that front cleared up. This front is still, we're pushing in there. The Liberia front is still a thing. Let's go ahead and grab one of our small forces and head over there. I don't need quite all of these armies over here on the Dynam front, so we'll just go ahead and put an army in Africa. This front is going okay. I'm winning on defense, at least. But I'm locking down a British army there. Now we got our front splittage here in Canada. This often makes Canada a little bit of a complicated animal to deal with. What do we need? We need war operations, regime change in Maldives. I need to figure out where that is. Can't do that by looking at that button. Over here in Ceylon. Interesting. Ceylon is the capital. All right, so I'm gonna need to land there. We'll grab the second. We'll grab the 4th Coastal Force and land there. And that should sort out that problem. Alright, now we're on the front with Cambodia. But we're not actually going to that front, are we? Yes, we are. We are going to that front. Alright, beautiful. Just making sure. There are ways in which you never know in this game. Alright, so once we've got Cambodia taken over, then we'll be able to do as we like. Alright, West Indies front needs to be guarded. I don't really have any armies free, though, so... Well, I've got a few sitting around free in China, but none that I could step off to deal with something like that. Alright, should be... Alright, Ceylon is taken. Now, other war goals. We need British war operations. What do they have protection on? Regime change. Okay. Neither the capital state nor regime change in Maldives has been accomplished. This is also Maldives, right? This is actually the Maldives. And this is... Oh! I completely mistook this. Alright, so we're going to attack there. Sorry. Honestly, the last maps we've made of this area were made by Zhang Ha 300 years ago, and we haven't been paying that much attention. Alright, so, has Britain lost their war support protection? They have. So now, the goal is we've got to stall them out. And once again, we've got front splittage here. So this is the problem with the Canadian front, right? These forces should have gone over here to deal with that front, but instead they're over here. Let me see. Do I need more armies? I think we'll send this, the 4th Coastal Force, over to Canada just to have more armies there. And have them handle that tiny front. Hey! Modern sewerage. Beautiful. Getting modern sewerage is a big get because that gives me a bunch more infrastructure. There's quinine. That's an important tech for the long term, but not necessarily useful right now. Unfortunately, Netherlands is losing that territory. Does Netherlands have war support protection? Naval and South Cameroon front. Okay. There's that there. This army is going a place. You're going over there. Alright, so the Gabon South Cameroon front. And the fact that my army wandered off means all of this territory might soon be lost back to the British, which would make me very unhappy, but it is what it is. Happily, we are about to take Newfoundland and Labrador back from the British, and that will be useful. Again, if we can force the British to capitulate, this will be a this will be a rock-solid piece for me. Because liberating Canada is a huge, huge deal. Naval invasion in Beijing. Okay. All my armies have gone in place. Alright, so we'll take the plain blue banner armies and bring them back home. The plain banner armies, rather. We'll take those and bring them back home. That should be all we need in terms of defending against a naval invasion. Now, the 4th Field Army, instead, will naval invade Britain. And we'll grab the Bohai Gulf. It'll be a long time before they get there, but that is what it is. Missionaries arrested in western Guangdong. They keep doing this. Local authorities in western Guangdong have arrived have arrested several reactionary Nassauian Protestant missionaries for inducing conflicts with the locals. They've requested guidance on how the foreigners are to be treated. The green-clad constables brought forth a perfumed trunk and placed it in front of the manacled missionaries. One prized the lid open and waved his hand around the documents inside. All except one of the missionaries furrowed their brows and shook their heads. The one in the middle winced. The neat Latin handwriting was unmistakably his. Among the letters requesting cardinals for aid were reports detailing the habits of the local magistrate. Return them to the nearest concession area. Pops in western Guangdong become more radical, or they will be treated like any other criminals. 2% of Pops in western Guangdong become more radical instead of 5%, and reactionary Nassauian relations toward Great Qing deteriorates by 10. We'll do the second one. I don't really care about reactionary Nassau. That country is not going to be a country much longer. Alright, we got those naval invasions going, which should be going fine. Beautiful. And now the 5th Field Army is sorted. Invasion in Hebei. Let's move another army back to deal with that. I don't think these naval invasions are really going to go anywhere. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, fronts are good over here. Alright, I did arrive here in good enough time to take back that territory. I will soon have a naval invasion of Britain popping off. My one hope is that Bali doesn't decide to work on capitulating while Britain is still functionally fighting in all ways that matter. I'm going to grab the Guangdong fleet and move them into support of this naval invasion. The Nanning Advocate, an explicitly partisan newspaper founded by members of the modernization movement in Nanning, has published its first issue. Between advertisements and political cartoons, it hosts a ruthless critique of government policy. There was a certain brilliance to it. By printing it on the cheapest paper, by skimping on ink, by flooding it with advertisements in large text, one could produce a profitable paper for only a penny per copy, whilst its competitors sold for 5 to 10 times that amount. By making the paper relentlessly and shamelessly endorse a certain viewpoint, one could have every working person in the city aware of it by evening. If one's competitors refused to stoop that low, they would become responsible for their own suffocation. How long can a partisan paper last? 10% stronger movement for the modernization movement, or is that so? Deny the printing license, weaker movement, higher activism. Modernization movement, I'm happy with being stronger. How long can a partisan paper last? We'll let it happen. Oh, 5th Field Army, there's got to be a better place for you. Let's send you to Gran Colombia. Oh, these are both in the northern part of the country. Well, if they naval invade me with 2 armies, I'll naval invade them with 2 armies. I got armies on the way there. It's going to be a while. One of these field armies is headed for Britain. In any case, they are probably much more likely to accept peace now that they're below 0 war support and continuing to fall in war support. Alright, so this front got goofed up, so we're gone from there. Let's put the 1st Coastal Force in the Netherlands for now. We got naval battles popping off in the English Channel. Against the odds, despite not enjoying full rights under Qing law, some wealthier Yuanzhu Min people have begun moving into neighborhoods and frequenting establishments they would normally be excluded from. If we want our children to have a future, this is where we should raise them, he said. I want them to live somewhere safe. She crossed her arms. Have you seen the looks we get? When people talk about safe, they don't mean safe for us, they mean safe from us. We may need some new regulations to keep the peace. Extra radicals for discriminated pops, and 2% of Yuanzhu Min pops become more radical. Or they've fairly earned their success with all it entails. Unhappy and weaker petite bourgeoisie, 2% of Yuanzhu Min pops become more loyalist. I'm going to go with the first one. I want the petite bourgeoisie to be on my side here. Oh my goodness. Request to support independence for Persia. Decline for now, but it's an interesting prospect, Persia. Let me know how things go with it. Now, there's a limited number of weeks until the end of the war here. I think I am going to drop taxes back to Midland. Because that should deal with this problem. Right now, having low standard of living is causing a whole lot of radicals. Bohai Gulf fleet was defeated. Well, that is a shame. and now they're repaired. We're all kicking around in the Netherlands, defending against naval invasions. But that said, as long as we can hold here, we're good to go. Bali, can't capitulate while your suzerain is participating. Bali, are you the subject of the United States? I'm fighting a United States colonial war. Unbelievable. How could this happen? Anyway, these dorks are trying to invade me. But they don't have any troops in the area. I'm just going to swap some... No, this is all one area. So all 100 of these battalions are defending this area. Alright, beautiful. So I think this war is basically going to be good to go. And when this war finishes, we'll end the episode. We're slowly breaking off big chunks of the British Empire. Including... Well, once India, now also Canada. What is Dutch war support? Dutch war support's a little low. The Netherlands are going to fall out before the British are. So we need to get back Dutch Guyana in order to make this happen. So, let's grab the Guangdong fleet and the 1st Coastal Force and invade Dutch Guyana. The Guangdong fleet's in the middle of a battle. We'll grab the Bohai Gulf fleet. I think Britain might be... no, Britain will definitely capitulate before the Netherlands do, because Britain is... So it's 60 morale. They've got 40 left. They're losing about 4 per week, so that's about 11 weeks. Versus the Netherlands, who are at -20. So they got 80, and they're losing 5 per week. Yeah, so the British are going to lose before the Netherlands do. The Western Guangdong Missionary School. Protestant missionaries have opened several charity schools in Western Guangdong, offering education in Western religious and scientific practice. St. Jude's, I'll call it. If no other shall answer prayers in the Orient, then let it reach one who will still search this far for prayers. And this St. Jude, who is he? I thought he was the one who betrayed your Jesus. No, the other Jude. But he is known to aid desperate causes, and this school, against all odds, stands all the same. They are welcome to operate in the region. Reduced conversion, 10% education access, 1% of non-Protestant pops in the state become Protestant, or forbid our citizens from attending. Increased conversion, increased radicalism. I'm going to forbid our citizens from attending. They will not. Normally I would go for education, but we've got a pretty solid education system already. Literacy rate has doubled since has doubled since the beginning of the game. I'm trying to get it doubled from now here. We are winning this little battle. So we'll see how things go. If I can take back this state, great. Beautiful. Excellent. So Canada. Canada. Kolhapur, you're just not that important anymore. Canada, my friends. How about we be buddies? I've got a lot of debt, but I gotta keep building, so I'm gonna keep building. What does that put our finances at? Let's just take a quick whack at it and see where we are. That's not bad at all. Yeah, I can live with this. How much interest am I paying? 13k interest. That's not great. Cambodia wants to support their independence. Not right now. Modernization movement organizes in Zhejiang. Organizers affiliated with the modernization movement have embarked on a focused campaign to inspire support for protectionism in Zhejiang. Residents of every region in the world like to say that their home has a long and unique history of tight-knit community. The organizer almost agreed. The problem, of course, was that said community did not extend to outsiders. He'd been thrown out on his ear more times than he could count, but he persisted nonetheless. If he could introduce the right phrase into the right circles, perhaps even an idea that had been rejected out of hand, at first, would begin to find purchase. There are plenty of willing ears in Zhejiang. stronger movement and extra pop strength and radicals from movements in Zhejiang, or they must be concerned with far more grounded things. No increase in the movement size and half the other modifiers. I'm going to go with the first one because I think having a solid modernizing movement is good. Alright, so now the money is a little bit worse, but I think we can sustainably do what we want to do with our current setup. Okay, maybe I can't start building stuff right away again. But things will be a little bit better in Western Guangdong. Let's go ahead and pause that, and we'll allow the investment pool to pick up the slack here. January autosave. And that is all the time we've got for this episode. We broke Canada off from the British, and now they will be, they are a free country. So slowly but surely, we're dismantling the British Empire. And that is bringing Britain down in prestige significantly, even to the point where they're rivaled by the French, which is pretty good. But we, as the oldest great power in the world, are still on top, and once we get our recognition, we'll be well and truly at the top of the food chain. That having been said, that is all we've got time for this episode, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.